My name's Katrina, and on March 19th, I went to the emergency room for a head injury, and in the CT scan, they found a 2 centimeter left convexity meningioma with minimal mass effect, which means that it wasn't putting a lot of pressure on my brain yet. For people who don't know what a meningioma is, it's a brain tumor that sits in the meninges of the brain, not actually inside of the folds of it. It sits on top. But I didn't really believe it at first. Unfortunately, an MRI on April 14th confirmed it. I went and seen the first neurosurgeon in May, on May 18th, who downplayed it, wanted to just watch him wait because he was more interested in his retirement than actually having a real conversation with me. Because I work at Amazon, I followed up with what they call second MD, which is where you have another doctor from a reputable company, mine happened to be with Johns Hopkins, look at the same information that the original doctor did and tell you their opinion and explain it to you. It's an educational thing. And in that consultation, he took the time to actually explain to me what I had and why radiation wasn't an option for me, and to explain to me that it is in my motor strip, and that eventually, as this gets bigger, that it will start affecting the right side of my body, and that it needs to come out. That radiation wasn't an option for me because of where it is and because of my age. I'm 52, and I was told that it would grow back within 20 years. And at that point, I'll be 72, and that it would be too hard to remove it at that time. So he has suggested that I live in Indiana, to go to IU and talk with a real doctor who was actually interested in talking to me. And 5 minutes into that consultation last week, we were discussing that I was going into surgery on July 14th, which is now 10 days away. This has been a interesting journey in my life. I'm not wanting anybody to feel sorry for me or to pray for me or to have any kind of pity. I'm simply vlogging my journey with this. When I started trying to research it, I found that there just really wasn't information. There wasn't a lot of people discussing their own journey through it. You can find quite a bit on brain tumors, the ones that are actually in your brain cancer, but to have a benign meningioma that's just sitting on top of your brain, there's just not a lot of people talking about it, especially one that's in your motor strip that can affect your speech, affect the entire right side of your body, and that at the time it was discovered was already what the doctors considered to be large. So I decided that this was how I wanted to kind of approach it for myself, and so that maybe others can face their own surgeries, their own fears, their own meningiomas later on in life. It's not something anybody plans. It's something that just happens, and we don't get a choice. You just have to keep going forward, and that's just how it is. So it's been an emotional roller coaster. At times I make jokes about it. When I thought radiation was still a possibility, I always told people that I was looking forward to the gamma knife so I could get my superpowers like the Incredible Hulk. Because that's just who I am. Not every video will be emotional. It's kind of hard sometimes to talk about it. Yeah, I'm terrified. Who wouldn't be? I have so many questions that people can't answer, you know. Will I be able to walk through a metal detector with a plate in my head? Am I going to make it through TSA security? I like to go on cruises. If I get hit on that side of the head, will it dent the plate? You know, there's so many questions. How hard is it going to be to take care of my hair coming out of surgery? My doctor says that there's a good chance I won't have use of the right side of my body at least for a week, if not longer. And it could even end up being permanent. And that's very terrifying to me. I'm an extremely independent person. My worst fear isn't dying. It's not being a vegetable. Because those things I won't probably know even happened to me. My fear is losing my independence. Have to depend on somebody else to wash my hair, to feed me, to take care of me, to bathe me, to help me walk. Those are the things that I fear the most in all of this. But all I can do is take it one day at a time. And I thought that by making a blog and sharing my experience, maybe I could help somebody else that has the same questions I do. So my MRI mapping will be on the 10th. That's this coming Friday. So that's it's 6 days away. And I will definitely be making a vlog on how that went, what that's about, because I have no idea. I know it's an MRI. It's a type of MRI. I don't know if it's like the other MRI that I had or not. The one that I had was just normal. You just laid in there. You didn't have to really do anything but just be still. They put headgear around your head that kind of helped be still. And they cover up your eyes, which was actually more relaxing than I would have ever imagined. It at least kept you from seeing the headgear. And you just laid there. It took probably about 10 minutes for the non-contrast, and then I got out and they had already started an IV and they put the contrast into the IV, and I laid there another 10 minutes while they took more images of my brain. And then later I've been shown those images from two different views. The first doctor only showed me a top view, which was kind of interesting. It looked like a white smush bug. The last doctor that I seen, the one who will be performing my surgery, showed me another image where it looked like a pea that was kind of sticking out of my brain. It was more of a frontal view. And so I have seen it. It does really exist. I've had to go through a lot of blood work. I also have cirrhosis of the liver. I beat 2 liver failures 20 years ago. And because of the autoimmune, I do have cirrhosis. So I don't know if my blood work is different than other people's, because of course we have to make sure that I'm clotting and things that cirrhosis will interfere with in this, and make sure my liver is strong enough to handle the surgery. Right now, fortunately for me, my liver functions are doing fine. They look like anybody else's. I have a CT scan on Wednesday, the 8th, to really get a good idea of the condition of my liver before totally going through this. So I do have other medical issues going on, but that doesn't stop me from living ever. I am a normal worker at Amazon. I'm nothing special. I was an engineer. I was a machinist who worked their way up through programming and into engineering. I really loved what I was doing. And a few years ago, I started having some emotional issues, and I started having problems with concentration and focus, and I had to step down. It was devastating. It's been a devastating thing to come through. And at this point, I at least now have hope that I may be able to regain that life. And that's important to me, to at least keep that hope going. And hopefully on this journey, we all find out that's where it goes. I am crazy enough that I have signed up to go back to college. I never had a degree in engineering, and I decided I'm going to be home for 12 weeks that it may be a good time to accelerate that and start working towards a degree in doing data engineering, which is different. I was a tooling engineer before, but it's still the same process. If you actually watch these vlogs, you will find I'm a very analytical person, and I am truly an engineer at heart, and it doesn't take long of knowing me to figure that out. That I dissect everything, and I have to understand the process of everything. And I guess that's why I'm making this, is because I've pretty much had to rely on ChatGPT and Gemini through this process, because, like I said, the information just wasn't out there for me. I could find plenty of things on brain tumors. I could find people who survived brain tumor surgery, but finding people with meningiomas, finding people that have ever had a meningioma in their motor strip, I couldn't find. I can't find information on it. Doctors can tell you all kinds of things about what it's going to be like, but they don't know. Every patient's different, and they've definitely never been through it. So, if anything, I hope I give somebody comfort. And I hope that maybe doing this gives me comfort. It allows me an avenue to be able to work out my own feelings and everything I'm going through. I know I'll have good days. I'll have bad days. I'll have emotional days. It's not going to be easy. I don't expect it to. And hopefully, as I'm going through the journey and doing a vlog like this, I'll have something to go back on and be able to gauge, hey, this is where I am now. This is where I was. This is how far I came. And I'm hoping that as it goes, it gives me the strength to keep going on the days that I don't feel like it. I've been told by the doctor that I will probably have a headache and like a migraine for quite some time coming out of the surgery, along with the weakness in the right side, if not paralysis, and that my speech is most likely going to be affected, at least temporarily. So I'm already in physical therapy for my neck. I'm concerned because I'm sorry, I had a car accident 30 years ago that left me with true whiplash. It had messed up one of the vertebrae of my neck, and that has completely turned into arthritis at this point with degenerative disc. And I refuse surgery on that. I'm not a surgery person, which makes this all that more scary. I'm not even a person that wants routine procedures like colonoscopies or endoscopies. So it's very terrifying to me, but there's nothing you can do about that. You just have to keep going, and I will, and I'm going to make it through this, and I will be fine, and hopefully I'll be better on the other side of this than I am today. As far as symptoms, I really haven't had any, at least none that we can actually tell that I have. That's not why mine is being removed. Mine is being removed simply because of the size and where it is located at. I thought that I might have symptoms of it because I have dealt with brain fog and dizziness and headaches for years. But come to find out through my physical therapy on my neck, it seemed to be related to my neck, because as we started getting that better, those things went away. I hope they don't come back, but it is what it is, and it is what it will be. Like I say, this is just my own documentation of my journey of having a 2 centimeter left convexity meningioma removed from my head. And right now, basically over the next 10 days, just documenting leading up to the surgery, what I've got to go through, my emotions, my feelings as I'm going through it. And then after the surgery, I'll start documenting the recovery process, so that people that have to go through something like this themselves, or have a loved one that goes through something like this, can actually see what it's like for somebody. I won't be doing in the hospital things in ICU and prepping for surgery in the hospital. The most you may get out of me is walking in and being wheeled out, maybe when I get moved to a regular room. I'm sorry, I'm opposed to showing people myself at my worst. I've already had big changes. I cut off my hair last weekend, a couple of days ago, basically, because I feel that it will be easier for me to take care of it. It was halfway down my back, and I also feel that if my husband has to help me, that it will be easier for him. But that was a personal choice. It wasn't anything the doctors told me to do, or anybody told me to do for that matter. It was something that I just logically sat down and felt that it was the most practical thing for me. And it was a decision that I made. And they've told me that I will be shaved about a 2-inch strip, that it will be about right in here. And the scar will be about 2 to 3 inches and almost like a C shape or whatever. And that in a couple of years, that it probably won't even be that noticeable, that the hair should grow back, and that it's not even going to be hardly noticeable that I ever even had it done, that it will hide behind the rest of my hair. I was assured that I didn't need to cut my hair because that it would be hidden under it, but that I would need to wear scarves and some type of a head covering when I went outside and stuff, at least for the first 6 weeks until the staples were removed. From what I found on ChatGPT, I will probably be looking at about 25 staples. Those things will know more when I actually go through the surgery. I will kind of show you guys that stuff, and once I come out of ICU, like I say, I plan on my time in ICU allowing the doctors to rest. The time frame of the surgery, from what my doctors told me, is I will go into the surgery. It will be about a 2-hour surgery. I will come out. I will be in ICU for 2 to 3 days. And then depending on what state I'm in, how much weakness there is, and things like that, how well I respond to the physical therapy, how well I respond to my memory, like questions, where am I, those things that you hear on TV, that I will be transferred into a regular room for observation and for some physical therapy, and to get all that started before I go home. And I will probably be in that regular room for another 2 days, and then be released from the hospital to come home. And then when I come home, that I would probably need somebody to take care of me at least the first week that I'm here, if not for a couple of months. I know that Amazon has been told that I will be out of work for at least 12 weeks, and that at that 12-week mark, that we will reevaluate where I am and when I can go back to work, which weirdly enough I'm looking forward to. So I think that that's about all for today. This has been an emotional thing. I'm not a vlogger. I am not a YouTube personality. I have no interest in that. I have no interest in going viral. I don't care about people liking my videos or subscribing. If you choose to, thank you very much. If you don't, God bless you anyhow. It doesn't matter to me. That's not why I did this. I am not an influencer. I will never upgrade my quality of my videos, my microphone, or anything else. It's not who I am. I am simply doing this just to help other people get through this journey and to help myself. And once it's over, once I go back to work, that's when these vlogs will most likely end. I don't see them continuing past that point. So for anybody who does stumble across this and wants to join me in my journey, feel free to. I will not be promoting these. I will not have commercials in them. I will not be in any way staying on a timeline or a schedule. It's more of I will make them on days that I actually have appointments to kind of say, hey, this is how this is what brain mapping is, this is what I went through doing it, this was, hey, today's my day of my surgery. And, maybe some of the emotional stuff in between, because it has definitely been a roller coaster. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It did happen to me, so I'm going to get through this. And I'm going to do it smiling, even through the tears. So, thank you for anybody who's watched. And I wish you the best of luck on whatever your journey is that brought you to this.